My name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to another indie book review. Today I am reviewing Bloodstained Rose by Angie Titus. This is an adult paranormal mystery all about a young woman who moves in with her elderly and injured uncle to help care for him and discovers that his new but old dilapidated house has a ghost in it, and she decides she's going to solve the ghost's murder. Now, our protagonist, Lara, has worked with a homicide detective in the past, in that kind of classic mystery writer shadows the detective. I'm not sure that has ever actually happened in real life, but it's a staple trope of the genre by this point, so we'll let it slide. Regardless, it doesn't exactly matter that Lara is a murder mystery writer that has shadowed a detective, or that the detective also ends up getting pulled into the story, because they don't really use any skills that they've learned from doing that necessarily. And that was one of my big struggles with the book was, for all that it set up a cool paranormal mystery, they don't actually do that much work to solve the mystery. They're kind of just given the clues to do it. They either do like a very cursory search of the house and the grounds and find the exact thing that points them to the suspect or to the fact that it was a murder or whatever, or they're literally told what happened in a dream and they're like, oh, well, I had this dream. That's clearly what happened. Okay, like that's kind of a struggle for me. Like, why build them up as this homicide murder mystery writer duo if it doesn't really matter that they were that? And that may just be because I thought this was part of a longer series. Like, when I read the synopsis, it made it sound like Lara and Corey have like worked together on previous stuff, which canonically they have, but I thought there were like books. Like, you could go back and find previous books where Lara and Corey met and started working on homicides or whatever, but there aren't any. This is the first book for this pair in this world, and you definitely felt the lack, or at least I did. I was definitely feeling it because they're already to the pining stage, right? Everyone knows that if you put together the murder mystery writer and the detective in any kind of paranormal or procedural series, they're gonna end up together. It's just like expected. But they skipped ahead to the already pining for each other stage. And don't get me wrong, I love me some good pining. Pining is one of my favorites. I wish there was more buildup for how much the pining is a feature in this book. I wish there was more set up for them. And I wish that it mattered that they were working in like homicides together, because obviously they couldn't do much like with the legal law enforcement because they were out of jurisdiction, but also like maybe bring up some, oh, you remember this case and we had to do this thing to solve it. Let's try that tactic again. Like something like that where it felt like they were putting in the work instead of just wandering the house and grounds and being suddenly given the answers to the murder mystery. Or at the very least that we had accepted, like, okay, it's not really a murder mystery, it's a paranormal mystery, and upped that aspect, because on top of the murder victim's ghost, who is benevolent, you also have a more malevolent spirit in the house that may be targeting someone. Obviously, we know how that's gonna play out, but I wanted more of that, so it's like, okay, we're not really gonna play up the investigation angle, they're being kind of just given everything, but let's play up the threat of this malevolent spirit. But you never really learn a lot about them. They never necessarily like dig into how the spirit got there, what their deal is, why they're there. Like they're just a malevolent spirit that's just in an old house, because spirit in an old house. And again, how they confront that spirit is also kind of just given to them. And there's not a lot of investigation in that, or a lot of like false leads trying things and them not working. Like it's just, okay, here. And it was a little bit frustrating because there were so many great ideas in the story, but there was not a lot of room for them to breathe. The entire book is under 200 pages, and I am very much learning about myself that I am a longer book girly. The more and more I read, the less and less I read novellas at this point. But I really felt like there needed to be more time. It felt like there was beginning stuff that needed to happen. You needed more buildup of the relationship between the pair so that all of the pining made sense. You needed more expansion on the spooky elements and the malevolent presence and the threat, and more investigation in that. And then there needed to be a little bit something more at the end, because the end felt very open-ended. And again, I'm like, is this a series? Is this going to continue? Because this doesn't feel like the first book in a series. Because again, there's all of that pre-story stuff to build up that relationship. But it also doesn't feel like the last book in a series. Like, it does not feel like a standalone. It feels like I read a book mid-series, but it's not mid-series. Like, it's very strange. And I know that a lot of these limitations with page count might be a publishing thing. Several authors have mentioned to me that with certain indie presses, certain indie publishing methods, if you go above 200 pages, the price increases dramatically, and you either have to take a much bigger income cut, or you have to raise the prices and risk fewer people buying it. And I get that. I know a lot of people are held by that limitation. However, from my point of view, as purely a reader, if you know that that 200 page mark is the limit, that you can't go over, or it's not really feasible to go over, then you need to write the story for that 200 page limit. Like, if that's your structure, then the story needs to be fit within the structure, and this story didn't really felt like it fit. It felt like stuff had been cut out. It felt like there was stuff I was supposed to read before it and after it to make it work. And for that reason, I gave this book 3 stars. Again, a lot of great ideas. I loved the pining. There was a lot of emphasis on the family dynamic, because Laura's 2 sisters are also there with her, and Corey's brother comes out. But again, all I'm thinking about it is, if you only have those 200 pages and you have these dual mysteries of homicide victim and supernatural presence, you really got to pare down and focus on specific things to make it fit in that 200 pages. So the little family moments were cute, and if you were going to play up the romance angle, then that would have worked, but there were 2 other angles at play, and it all just felt a little bit too cramped. And again, I recognize that this could be me. The more and more I read, the more I gravitate towards longer books, and might just have to start getting more picky with the indie review requests I accept if they are short. But in general, if you do like pining, would highly suggest this one. Some great pining. No HEA, at least for the pining part. And I know for some people that's a spoiler, but I guarantee you cannot market something as a romance unless you guarantee an HEA. It just will not work. But in general, if you also like some paranormal stuff, some light procedural stuff, this might be the one for you. It's definitely a quick read. The writing style definitely flows decently, so it would be a nice quick weekend read for you if you were into that. But in general, I don't think I will be continuing. If this is a series, I still can't tell, because again, it still feels like it should be one, but I don't see any reference to it being a series in the marketing around like Goodreads or Amazon yet. Maybe I need to go back and double check. But regardless, if it is, I won't be continuing. There's just too many series I'm still working on. But there could still be something awesome for you to check out in this one if you're interested. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.